Sure. Do I have time right now before the break?
Yes, you do.
Okay. With attorney-client privilege, anything your client tells you cannot be repeated to another person unless the client gives the okay. Chambers is only a standby attorney, therefore he does not have the attorney-client privilege with Mutallab at this point. So all the evidence that the prosecution had to turn over to the defense initially when Mutallab had a legitimate attorney, the prosecution is now arguing it shouldn't be given to Chambers because that could be turned over to other parties because it's not subject to the attorney-client privilege, such as myself. If I were to sue the United States government, I could obtain every conversation and every document Mutallab would have given to Chambers. And the United States government's attorneys at the hearing last week seem to be pretty concerned about this. Do you think that clears it up, Alex? I don't know if I can be more clear than that.
No, that is stunning information. So they're clearly trying to hide something. I want to come back from break and strategize with you, Kurt, about where we go from here. Obviously, this is very dangerous for you and your wife, very dangerous for the standby attorney, because we know this guy was their patsy and this was a setup, and that's been confirmed. And you're absolutely right. Kurt Haskell blows whistle, an undercover bomber. Headline, given bomb by U.S. government to boost TSA budget and implement body scanners. We'll be right back. Okay, Kurt Haskell's with us a little bit in the next hour, survivor of the Christmas Day bombing a year and 2 months ago. And Kurt, you're a survivor. You're also a lawyer. Your wife's a lawyer and a survivor. And you're addressing several million people right now. If you were addressing the American people as a jury about what happened, how it's been used to destroy liberties in this country and where we're going, what would you say to the American people right now in encapsulating all of this and why it's so important?
Are you saying what would my closing argument be if I was the attorney? Is that your question?
Well, I mean, just everything that's happened. I mean, what do you want to impart to us?
Well, I guess what I would say is that the war on terror is a fraud. And it's being used in a manner to take away your rights for whatever reason. I don't exactly know why, but it's pretty clear that it is. And that the United States government has not been forthcoming with you in some of these plots. They are staging these plots, and just keep an open mind and actually give it some thought instead of giving deference to the United States government story. This sort of thing will only get worse unless a stop is put to it right away, and that the people become informed and actually see what the United States government is doing to them as a means to take away their rights, such as putting body scanners in the airports to take away your Fourth Amendment rights to unreasonable search and seizures. That's just one example, but you have to put a stop to it. You know, you have to think critically and look at these plots, weigh the evidence for both sides, and think to yourself what seems logical and not let it factor in that your United States government is one side of the plot. You have to just think logically and think, does their story make sense? And does the other side make sense? And with every plot, you should just think it out and see which side seems to be more credible instead of just initially dismissing the one side because they're against the U.S. government for whatever reason. But that's what I would say. Something along those lines.
Well, Kurt, I mean, you are a survivor of this, and you have standing on every level, civilly with the government, the airlines, all of it. And the key here is that everything you said turned out to be true. The government did help him get on the plane, did protect him. It fits the MO of their past dud patsy operations. And the FBI came and basically tried to get you to change your story at your office before all this came out, and now they're trying to keep this guy from the press and lawyers. I mean, you look at it on every front, they're acting very, very guilty, and we've got to get the truth out about this.
Yeah, just to clarify the point on the FBI, they didn't actually get me to try and change my story. I just want to be clear on that. It was more like they weren't interested in my story. But then a few days later, I get a call from a passenger who claims to be concerned that when the truth comes out, I will look stupid because he thinks my story's not correct. And he went on and on and on how I shouldn't be talking to the press about this because he apparently knows what I saw, even though he admitted he didn't see it himself. So it was done more undercover.
Well, Kurt, the reason I make that statement is They came and ignored you and then put out statements in the media contradicting what you were saying, and then it basically came out that you were correct.
Yes. Actually, what they did on more than one occasion, they said they reviewed 200 hours of CCTV video footage from Schiphol Airport, and it showed nothing. And then about 3 weeks later, they came out to the press and said, we're attempting to identify the person eyewitnesses said they saw helping him onto the plane. So totally contradicting their first story, showing that the first story was a lie. And the second man taken into custody, which we haven't even gone into today, the man in orange, but their story on him changed 5 times, and it's all documented in the press. Well,
we're coming back in 1 minute. Let's get into the other man on the other side, and we're so blessed to have somebody like yourself who's intelligent, informed, and who's going to the trial. Hopefully we can have you come back on as this trial unfolds. Such an important case for all of us. We'll be right back. Stay with us. All right, folks. We are back live, doing a little extra 5 minutes into overdrive here with Kurt Haskell. And he really is a hero for telling the truth, sticking to his guns, being proven correct, going up against the globalist. He has a show twice a week on Blog Talk Radio, the Kurt Haskell Show. Their website is Haskell Family. In fact, tell us specifically about the radio show and about the website, the proper address, Kurt.
Oh, sure. I have a Blog Talk show on blogtalkradio.com Thursday and Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern for an hour. I created it. It's a totally nonprofit show. For those of you insinuating that I did it to make money, it's not true. It's nonprofit. I don't accept any advertising, and it was formed to let other people that have been disenfranchised with the media discuss topics about government corruption. So something your listeners might also be interested in. And, of course, the underwear bomber story I've been documenting on my wife's blog all along since Christmas Day 2009 at haskellfamily.blogspot.com if you want to read my blog post going back to the start and seeing how everything has come out bit by bit and how my attitude towards this has changed. That would be a good way to do it.
Well, that was my next point. You've gotten a lot more hardcore now, coming right out and saying clearly, they gave him the dud bomb. That fits the MO, and that's what all the facts show. But briefly, getting into this other gentleman on the plane.
Well, there was a man that filmed the whole incident from before it started until after it ended, and he has kind of just gone into the woodwork. No one wants to talk to him. By the way, Alex, I have his phone number, address, and email address if you want to try and talk to him. I haven't had any luck. I've contacted him a couple of times, and all I get back is a response from his attorney. But I know who he is, and if you want to contact him, let me know, and I'll provide his info to you.
Yes, when we go to break, stay there. I'm going to get the name and number now, and we'll start calling him. Tell us briefly, we only got about a minute or two left, what you saw.
What I saw in what regard?
I mean, with this second gentleman.
Okay, now I didn't see the cameraman because my view of him was blocked by the bathroom. But what other passengers have said is before the attempted bombing happened, he whipped out a camcorder and started filming. He filmed all the way through it until after it ended. And mind you, this is in the middle of a terrorist attack as our plane is burning. Its bomb didn't blow up, but it started a fire. And everyone in the plane thought our plane was going down and we're going to die. So it's highly suspicious that someone would whip out a camcorder, film it all the way through, not put it down, and not only that, but he pulled it out before the incident started. So it's highly suspicious, especially if you look at it in the context of all this other evidence that we have.
Sure, this would point towards a government handler who wants to have the video to scare folks even more on the news and to also help them in the court case.
Well, it's highly suspicious. Again, I don't know what person in their right mind, when you think you're going to die, whips out a camcorder. It's just incomprehensible.
Well, some people might do that, but if he's videotaping beforehand, maybe there's a reason for it. Maybe, he's a wonderful guy, but the whole thing is very, very suspicious, Kurt, and it's clear we're going to need to talk to you again about this very, very soon as the trial of the underwear bomber unfolds. We really want to thank you for all you've done, and folks should check out the Blog Talk Radio Show, and they should also check out the Haskell Family blog. And just, again, we're going to put you on hold as this segment ends and get the name and number of the supposed video person. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, that's fine. Yeah, I think, if any of your listeners are skeptical as to my story at all, I would just encourage you to look at all the evidence. There's a damning amount of evidence that shows that my position is actually correct. So don't just look at one piece or two. There's at least 30 different bits of evidence, which I gave to Amy Lang as evidence that she requested, Amy Lang being the Fox 2 reporter of the clip that you aired earlier. So there's a great deal of evidence supporting my position on this. The government story is nonsensical, contradictory, and just a flat-out lie.
Well, Kurt, you've done an incredible job. I don't even know why you're being defensive a little bit. I mean, you're a hero. You've been totally proven right. And so what if disinfo people try to lie about you? Folks should go to the website, see the facts for themselves. You and your wife and other witnesses are spot on. And we salute you for defending the liberties of this republic. Stay with us. Visit Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. When you're on the sites, you can also tune in 24 hours a day to my daily radio broadcast. There's also a free iPhone app to listen to the syndicated radio show when and where you want.